Welcome to Fraeylemaborg. Borg is the Groningen name for a castle or fortress. Like many other castles, Fraeylemaborg has a very long and turbulent history. Every part of the building has a story to tell about this history. But to truly understand how the castle came to be, we have to peel back all the layers of the building until we reach the old, rough-hewn stone house at its very heart. People have lived here since long before the stone house was built. After the most recent ice age around 10,000 years ago, the area gradually became a marshy peatland. The first inhabitants built their huts on the high, dry pieces of land, such as the land on which Fraeylemaborg now stands. Starting from around 800 AD, people wanted to make use of the soggy peat ground. It was not possible to grow grains or other crops in such marshy ground, so people dug canals and ditches. This allowed the water to drain away so that crops could be grown on the land. As harvests increased and the population grew, all kinds of tension arose among the different groups. They stole each other's livestock and land. Entire villages and crops went up in flames during these raids. In around 1300, monks came to the area and brought the perfect solution to unwanted intruders: the brick. The monks gave the local inhabitants the idea of building a stone house with walls up to 1 meter thick, accessible only by means of a steep staircase on the outside. This would help to protect their harvest from raiders and themselves from foes. More than a century and a half passed before the castle received its name in the mid-15th century, Fraeylemaborg. And it was then that the first permanent inhabitants took up residence. They enlarged the stone house into a longhouse. Although they behaved like nobility, they were simply the successors of the armed riders that came before. Around the year 1500, the castle was further fortified to make it a fortress. Conditions were quite unsafe in the north at the time, and even the Fraeylemaborg came under fire. A moat was dug around the castle, as well as a curtain wall with 2 corner towers. Then, in 1568, the 80 Years' War broke out. Fierce battles were fought near Fraeylemaborg between the armies of Prince William of Orange and the Spanish troops. Fortunately, the castle itself was kept out of harm's way, probably because the castle lord, wanting to save his own skin, refrained from clearly favouring either side. The castle was owned by the powerful Rengers family until 1690. However, after the Bishop of Münster's failed siege of the city of Groningen, Rengers suddenly fell out of favour with the city government and was jailed for treason. He was released only after Prince William of Orange and Henrik Pickett intervened. After 4 years in prison, he had lost many of his possessions. Henrik Pickett, who had helped Rengers, fared rather better. He married Rengers' daughter Anna Elizabeth and eventually became the new owner of the castle. Anna Elizabeth and Henrik Pickett had the castle refurbished and established a beautiful French garden. Henrik Pickett died in 1712 and was laid to rest in the crypt of his own church in nearby Haagstede, alongside his beloved Anna Elizabeth. The couple had no children, and the family fought over the estate for decades. In the end, the castle and all of its land had to be sold. By this time, the castle was in a state of disrepair. The estate now passed into the hands of Hendrik de Sandre Veldman from the city of Groningen, who moved there with his family. Despite the fact that the castle resembled a ruin and the French garden a jungle, he could style himself Lord of Slochteren, Kolham, Foxham, and half of Schildwolde. Hendrik ensured that the castle became as beautiful as it is today. The gate and turrets were demolished, the front door was moved to the centre, and the cluttered front facade was evenly balanced. Pickett's French garden was mostly replaced by a romantic English landscape garden. Hendrik de Sandre Veldman and his wife had another daughter, Louise, who became the lady of the castle upon her father's death in 1816. Louise married twice, but had no children. She eventually bequeathed the castle to her second cousin, Abraham Johan, as a result of which he received the longest surname in the Netherlands, Thomassen, Atussink, van der Hoop, van Slochteren. Abraham Johan and his wife had 5 children, the eldest of whom, Evert Jan, would become the last castle lord of Fraeylemaborg. In the 20th century, it became increasingly difficult to maintain such a large estate. In fact, many castles in Groningen had already disappeared. Evert Jan's 2 daughters decided to sell the estate in 1972. The contents were also auctioned off. All of a sudden, an historic estate was up for sale. All kinds of plans were entertained. It could be used as a town hall, a hotel, a notary's office, or even an amusement park. Ultimately, it became a museum, with a park open to the public. The old stone house, once built to keep out intruders, is now the centerpiece of an estate where all are welcome.